Today for math, we are going to be changing fractions to decimals, and we've skirted this before in math when we needed to use it. So this is basically a review lesson, although it hadn't been covered in our math book yet. So I'm working on page 285 in your textbook. It is lesson 158, and if you take a look at the top section, it gives you a rule to change a common fraction to a decimal. You divide the numerator by the denominator. Remember, a fraction is just another way to write division anyway, so it's the top divided by the bottom. And you have to annex zeros at the end if you are still going to get a remainder. You want to just keep on going until you don't get a remainder. We'll talk about fractions that when you divide them, you'll always have a remainder. So we'll talk about those in the future. So look at the first example, and they give you 3/4, and we talked about this one already. We did all of the fourths. So if I have 3/4, that's 3 divided by 4. So if I show it on the board while you're looking at it in your textbook, 3 divided by 4. Well, 4 won't go into 3. So the very first thing I want to do is annex a decimal and a 0. And then I'm going to put my decimal in my answer. And now 4 will go into 30. I don't deal with that decimal point other than putting it in my answer. Now I'm just going to use it like that's regular digits. So 4 into 30 goes 7 times. And I could use the shortcut here, but I'm trying to show you the long way just so you are sure of every step. So 30 minus 28 is 2. I'm going to have a remainder here, so I don't want a remainder. Annex another 0, because it doesn't change my value. Bring it down. Now 4 into 20 goes 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. I have no remainder, so I don't need to annex any more zeros. And my answer is 75 hundredths. So it would look like 3/4 equals 0.75. And if I think about that, that's like 3/4 of a dollar is 75 cents, right? So 3/4 of something is 0.75. Now they give you a second example, 3/8, and in this case they had to annex 3 zeros, 1 decimal point, and 3 zeros, and divide the numerator 3 by the denominator 8 to find an exact answer of 0.375. So they give you a chart there that says you're just supposed to learn these fraction to decimal equivalents. It's just better off if you memorize that set. You will need them frequently. So let's look at number 1. We're going to do part of number 1 together. And I'm going to start with A. I have 1/4. So I'm going to divided by 4. Doesn't work, so I annex, put my decimal in my answer right away. As soon as I annex that decimal, I want to put it in my answer. 4 into 10 goes twice. That's a remainder, I don't want it, so I'm going to annex another 0, bring it down. 5 times 4 is 20. Now I have nothing for a remainder, so now I have my final answer. And 1/4 equals 0.25. 1/4 of a dollar is a quarter. All right, that's also in that chart that you're supposed to memorize at the top. Letter B, 3/10. We should already know this one from when we have worked with just basically converting fractions to decimals. If it has 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, etc., if it has a power of 10 on the bottom, on the denominator, I don't need to do this division because I already know it. It's 0.3, right? You better already know that one. Let's look at letter C, 1/2. Here's another one that we have used frequently in our conversions, and 1/2. I'm going to say 1 divided by 2. We've shown this several times on the board because we've dealt with this one so many times. And my answer is to show you an alternate method. The next one, letter D. I'm taking my handy phone and I'm going to my calculator, okay, clearing it out, and I've got my numerator is 2 and divided by, see how it highlighted my divided by, 5, 2 divided by 5, 2 over 5 equals 4/10. So, yes, you can do the division if you want to, or you can use a calculator, because pretty much everybody has a phone, right? And if you don't have a phone, your mom has a phone. So if you have to do it, let's learn how to do it on the calculator, okay? So that takes care of D. Let's look at E, 7/8. Clear, clear, clear. 7/8, 7 over 8, 7 divided by 8 equals 0.875. Okay, there's that answer. Look at letter F, 7/20. 7 divided by 20 equals 0.35. All right, you should be able to finish G and H. Let's take a look at number 2. In number 2, we're supposed to round off to the nearest tenth. So let me erase my board, so I won't use my calculator for rounding. And I have 58 hundredths. I'm going to put the 0 in front of it so it doesn't get confused with my dot after my A. Okay, so I have 58 hundredths, and if I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth, here's my tenths place. Look next door. It's an 8. 5 or more raise the score. So my answer is 6/10. Letter B, 29 hundredths. Here's my tenths. Look next door. 9. 5 or more raise the score. 3/10. Letter C, 1 and 51 hundredths. I didn't have to put a 0 here because it already has a digit in front of the decimal. Okay, where's my tenths place? It's the first place after the decimal. I don't want to get confused just because I have more digits. Look next door, 1, let it rest. Everything in front of it stays the same. 1 and 5/10. Okay? Look at number 3. 3A, we're supposed to round to the nearest hundredth. Oops, let me leave those. And I have 675 thousandths, right? Yep, I remembered it correctly. Okay, so here's my hundredths place. Look next door, 5 or more, raise the score. Everything in front of it is going to stay the same. 68 hundredths. If I'm told to round to the hundredths place, when I say my answer, I should hear that place as part of my answer. It's the last part of my answer. Letter B, 204 thousandths. Okay, so I looked at my hundredths place, 2 places after the decimal, and next door is a 4. 4 or more, let it rest. So I'm going to put the 0, and I need to leave it here. You know, normally if I'm simplifying my decimals, I want to reduce that 0 out and get rid of it and say that's 2/10. But because I was told to round to hundredths, I have to keep it there so that I say the name hundredths when I'm calling out this decimal. 20 hundredths. If I said 2/10, then I didn't round to the hundredths. All right, letter C. 1 and 316 thousandths. There's a 1 in my hundredths place. I'll look next door. 6. 5 or more, raise the score. Everything in front of it stays the same, and that becomes a 2. 1 and 32 hundredths. Number 4, round to the nearest whole number. The whole number is your ones place, so that's the digit just in front of your decimal point. So on letter A, I have 13 and, oh, they didn't do these in decimals anyway. 13 and 1/4. A fourth is less than a half. Half is my 0.5, remember? We just divided that a few minutes ago. So if half is my 0.5, half or more, raise the score. Less than half, let it rest. A fourth is less than half. So that means if I'm rounding to the whole number, I just want 13. Letter B, 5 and 1/9. Is that more than a half or less than a half? That's way less than a half. So less than a half, let it rest. It's a 5. Letter C, 8 and 3/11. Is that more than a half or less than a half? Well, half of 11 would be 5.5. That's less than 5.5, isn't it? So it's less than half. So I'm going to let it rest to an 8. Let's go ahead and finish that number out. D, 6 and 7/9. All right, well, half of 9 is 4.5. 7's more than 4.5, so that's more than a half. That's going to raise to 7. Letter E, 1 and 2/5. That's not right. 1 and 2/3. I thought I looked at that wrong. 1, 2/3. Okay. 2/3. Is that more than a half or less than a half? Well, half of 3 is 1.5. 2 is more than 1.5, right? So it's more than 1.5. Sorry, more than a half means I'm going to raise the score to be a 2.